My name is Andrea from the Admission Department, and here we are sharing this webinar with Mr. Mario Garrido, who is one of our directors from the Real Madrid Graduate School and an expert, of course. I'm very pleased to share this event with all of you. And so please, Mario, if you want to start this webinar, it will be a pleasure for me follow after the presentation of Mario and his speech to explain to all of you how the admission process works at the Real Madrid Graduate School. If you have any kind of question, please, as Jenna told you before, you can write down all your questions in the Q&A section and also in the chat. I will be very pleased to answer you during the speech of Mario. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Andrea, for the introduction. By my side, I'm here because I represent Olofip, an artificial intelligence company, and we are really close to the university because our company is in the middle of the sports, technological, and artificial intelligence environment and ecosystem. And our company is formed by scientific and by people with great expertise in artificial intelligence and new technologies, and is why we consider that together the university it's a must to provide these new technologies and trends to the future leaders of the industry. And is why I'm focused in my company in market and project developments and strategy, and is why I'm here representing this project together with the university. So I'm going to share, a brief presentation in order to provide a global overview about the current trends, the current status, and the opportunities that provides this kind of technologies in the sports industry. So just confirm, Andrea, that if you can see my screenshot perfectly. I think yes.
Yes, we can see it perfectly, Mario. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So why is Mario speaking now here to all of us? Is why this close relationship with the university in order to provide these new technologies, and why, and try to explain why artificial intelligence is transforming sports industry, which one are the opportunities leading the market, and how we are able to provide new trends and technologies in order to lead this digital transformation in sports entities, organizations, federations, clubs, or agencies, or any company or project that is around sports. So first of all, I would like to provide a global overview regarding artificial intelligence, just as a bit of information, because sometimes we hear about artificial intelligence and we think about robots, we think about something that is really far. I'm going to try to be or put closer the artificial intelligence to all of us. So first of all, say that the first conference from artificial intelligence was like 70 years ago in Dartmouth, where we can find where the experts during this period of time put together the objectives and the solution in an ethical way, the possibilities of this kind of technology. So what I want to share is that it's not nothing new. What is new is be familiar with the possibilities and be familiar with the solutions, but this is a technology that has an evolution from more than 70 years from now. We can hear about big data, we can hear about artificial intelligence, we can hear about machine learning, deep learning, computer vision. So there are a lot of terminologies, and I would like to provide a bit more information in a global overview, and then go more in detail in the sports industry. So which is the state of art regarding artificial intelligence in a global way or not in a society way? We can find how each of the countries establish an artificial intelligence strategy in order to optimize the process and the different ministers, and how this technology could improve the day by day in the countries. We can find from 4 or 5 years ago how each of the countries joined these kind of strategies inside their objectives. And for example, in Spain, we can find, like, for example, in 2019, they provide the strategy where the main scientific that developed this strategy are working with us in our company. Our company was founded by a professional football player. When he founded it, he was playing in Real Sociedad in First Division in Real Madrid, and he currently have these two professors of artificial intelligence that already are working with the government and this kind of the projects. So we can see in a global way, in a society way, and more in detail, we can see how artificial intelligence in our day-by-day, we can find, for example, real example regarding visa, how artificial intelligence are preventing or avoiding fraud using these predictive models in a scientific way. Or for example, Audi, automotive sector, even they have in their official landing page, they have an artificial intelligence specification, what kind of process they use these technologies. Even they say one phrase that have many sense, that say, we are ready to trust a taxi driver, a complete stranger, more than artificial intelligence. Although artificial intelligence can recognize and respond to any situation even better and faster. So sometimes we trust in someone that we don't have any idea about him, but technology can help us more in a precision way. For example, Netflix in our day-by-day with suggestion or recommendation with films or music, or Century Fox in order to predict audience and invest more or less. Or for example, in sports, I always share this kind of example because in NASCAR that everything depends on seconds and how artificial intelligence in seconds is able to provide scientific information in order to reduce uncertainty and provide solution in order to try to achieve this competition and league. So here we can find how artificial intelligence in a global overview is helping our day-by-day and is closer than we can imagine. For example, also, like in a national level, we can find the latest news regarding how the different countries are fighting or dealing in order to be pioneers and invest in this kind of technologies in order to achieve these advantages with resources, machines, and investment. So we can see that it's a global trend that is going to provide an important economic impact, also regarding job creations. Sometimes we think that these kind of machines are going to substitute the humans, but of course not. What these kind of machines is helping us to be more professional and have more capacity to decide better our decisions. So we can see a global overview about artificial intelligence, the different verticals and different sectors in a global way where it can be implemented and which kind of impact are going to produce in these different scenarios. And what happened in sport, how these technologies and robots and machines are going to help us, or in which areas we can find. I want to share this Forbes article, how it's impacting regarding different areas like scouting, regarding like performance and training, regarding injury prevention, or even in broadcasting and advertising, how this kind of new information, new techniques, and new solutions are able to provide us new solutions, new capacities, and improve our day-by-day and business management options and opportunities. So more in detail, regarding more in detail sports industry, regarding clubs, inside the clubs, in each of the departments, we can find how artificial intelligence and this technology is able to be implemented in the different process in these areas. For example, we can find performance area, we can find management and operation and business area, we can find corporate sponsorship and marketing area. And inside these kind of global departments like marketing, we can find campaigns, social media, digital assets, ticketing, smart venues. So inside each of the departments in sport areas, we can find how artificial intelligence could provide solutions and technical advantage against, in order to achieve advantage competitive against competitors, and also in order to improve our expertise and our processes more efficiencies. So here we have a global picture about how artificial intelligence could help each of the areas. Why I sharing that? Because each of us are inside the sports industry in one area, or C-levels, mid-levels, analytical levels, performance levels, strategical levels, and it's the first step, and it's our mission with the university, is try to be familiar with the techniques, be familiar with the technology, be familiar with the capacities. Sometimes we can go in one direction, but we go with the wrong decisions, or we go with the wrong techniques. So it's important to understand the kind of answers, or the kind of question, the kind of question that we want to answer, and how we want to answer it, or how can be answered it. So go more in particular regarding artificial intelligence and sports. We can find in our day-by-days a lot of definitions from this technology. And I'm going to share two that for me and my company and my colleagues are really, really simple. One of them is said that artificial intelligence is a collective term for computer systems that can sense the environment, think, learn, and with that, take action in response to what they are sensing and their objectives. What is more simple is a set of technologies that allow us to maximize our expertise and our capacities through an intelligent machine. So for us, there are tools to be more professional in our day-by-day and responsibilities. So if we take a look about the past, and we try to discover about the kind of animals or species that are in the world, we pass from describe the different animals and try to organize, and with the evolution we try to obtain new knowledge about this kind of species in particular, know more about them, how they grow, their day by day. So it's not the same describe it and organize it that know more about them in detail. And it's the same regarding sports entities, sports industries, organization and agencies, players. It's not the same. Take the information, consider this information, organize an information that allow us, such professional, to obtain 100% of the conclusions. It's not the same that obtain knowledge from this information, from this data, from this situation that occurs in the day-by-day of these sports entities, business and management, and obtain knowledge in order to provide us less margin of error in order to optimize our decision-making process. So this is artificial intelligence objectives: provide less risk situations, reduce uncertainty, and provide in a scientific way, objective conclusions in order to optimize and invest in an efficient way. So being more in particular in the sports area, tennis, football, basketball, cricket, we can find in our day-by-day tons and tons and tons of different data sources. We can find tracking systems that collects through machines like camera and GPS the location of each of the players, the balls, the brands, the fans. And this business company and these companies focus in tracking their investment more and more in be more precision, in obtain more data regarding their camera. So they are investing in their evolution in this precision. But on the other side, we can find another kind of companies and sector and market more focused in eventing that are collecting what is happening in each moment in each of the matches, in tennis matches, cricket matches, football matches, and they provide with this high precision each of the events that occurs in this moment. For example, regarding physical tests that each of the players are being analyzed in their day-by-days, medical tests, even genetic tests that, for example, are more focusing in microbiomes and these kind of topics where specific companies are providing these tests. So at the end, we can find hundred data that is collected in the day-by-day, and we can find that this amount of data. And for us, now we can find this big data name and nomenclature in our day-by-day. And for us, from the science way, it's very important to establish differences between big data and artificial intelligence, and what can we do with each of the methodologies. So big data for us, for artificial intelligence perspective, refers to this quantity of data, to this amount of quantity of data. But it's important to understand what can I do with big data or this quantity of data, and what can I do with another technique. So the first step for trying to obtain conclusion with these technologies is obtain how to collect this data, how to establish this quality of data in order to answer the different questions that we want to provide in the different departments inside the sports entities. So we can find tons of data, and what defines this data? The quantity of variety, the velocity that is collecting in day-by-day with more machine that are more precision, with all the sensors that the players are using in their training session day-by-day, and this volume. But in order to obtain knowledge that we explained before in the evolution of the science and the society, in order to obtain this deep knowledge that is behind this data, it's important to understand how to do it, who can do it, and what kind of answers are going to provide me this kind of methodology. So it's important to include in this artificial intelligence model in order to obtain this knowledge and provide better decisions. Okay, so, and we can find here this virtuous cycle of artificial intelligence and data. Even we are collecting more quality of data, and we are doing in a corrective way how to obtain this knowledge, is going to provide our company and our department and our solution, our responsibilities, better decisions in order to achieve the final objectives in our companies, leading our sports industry roles. Assets, maximize and protect our assets. Our assets can be the brands, can be the players, can be the fans, can be everything that is inside the industry. And with our objective, such professionals, is protect and maximize or reduce risk with these assets in order to improve the performance and rentability of the sports entity. And artificial intelligence is inside this cycle. And we have two areas. As we explained before, collect, capture this data, where artificial intelligence are improving with machines with more precision, more cameras in the stadium, sensors with more capacity. And once we capture this data, how this data is going to provide me this information, the real answer from my questions, and how it's going to help me to take better decisions. So going in these two directions, we are going to go more in detail. For example, regarding tennis, I'm going to try to share different examples in order to provide a global overview. For example, computer vision system that it's a kind of artificial intelligence are able to collect and synchronize in the same moment what's happening and where are the players. So when we include together these two data sources, we are obtaining a huge of data for each second during the match. For example, here we can find how we can automatize each of the moment and each of the distances, and artificial intelligence system are able to collect what's happening in this big data in different formats. So when we have this own data, that is the first idea inside an industry, sports industry, collect our own data and identify which data is relevant, which data is not relevant, and which maybe we are not collecting the data that it's going to help us. What can I do with this data? So here, the next steps, here is something that we call data lake, because sometimes we hear different nomenclatures, and it's important to understand the evolution of the folders and the evolution of how to manage the data. We can find the Excel files when we collect the data in an Excel. Also, when we with the data process evolutionate, we can find, for example, data warehouse that are able, or the dashboard that are able to include the data, and as such professionals, we are able to take a look about this data and take conclusions. But maybe this data is not cleaning, is not intelligent, is providing errors, and is why it's important this data lake. Data lake through artificial intelligence technologies that is able to, from the moment that we collect the data, independent from the data sources and independent from the departments, all of them have to be implemented with this process. I'm not going to move more in detail. This is something that we are going to provide in the different courses with the university, but in a global overview, it's important to understand that the data that we collect is not going to provide us enough information if it is not trained and is not managed with the professionals that are able to do it. Here we can find different students or different professionals that are focused more in an analytical way, in a performance area, marketing area, communication area. The most important for us, for me in that case that I'm not technical, is in my area, which information is going to help me, who can do it, how they are going to do it, and what we can do together in order to optimize my department. So it's really important to understand the kind of answer that artificial intelligence is going to provide if we provide the correct techniques in order to provide these solid databases in a quality way. Okay, so we can find by one side the create of our own databases in a sports industry, and also these artificial intelligence methodologies in order to obtain the analysis that we want to provide. Why? Because we can find that in the industry, the different professionals make different questions, and sometimes we are answering these questions in not a correct way. For example, looking different departments regarding scouting and analysis performance of the player, when I'm going to include in my team, in a football team, in a basketball team, I look for a new player from my team. The real question is not how was the performance of this player in the past, maybe in another team or maybe in another country. The real question is how is it going to perform my player the next season in my team with my future coach, the future teammates, and in maybe another country like, for example, Spain or Italy. Or, for example, if I have to take a better decision of one of my players because it's a young player and I have to identify which is the best option for him in order to be or obtain more value, I have to take one decision. How is he going to perform if he continues in my team, or maybe if he moves to Roma in Italy, or maybe if he moves to Bundesliga? Or, for example, match analysis. The real question, if I'm playing against one rival, is not how was the passes between this team the last week. The real question is how are they going to move the ball the next match against me. Or, for example, the injury prevention area, or health or physical performance. We need to understand in a future context the kind of exercises that are going to reduce the risk of injury in a future context. So this is the kind of questions that, based on future, based on contextualization, and based on quantification, that only artificial intelligence is able to provide answers. For example, if I'm working with big data and I'm only working with past information, I'm not able to answer about the future because the models And the information that I have it is only about the past data that is collecting our day by day. So it's important to understand the real question and how to answer how to answer this question with the correct information. And this is why artificial intelligence is transforming sports industry, because it's able to be implemented in each of the processes, in each of the departments, in each of the kind of business model. Why? Because artificial intelligence, regarding analytic possibilities, we can find different dimensions. One of them, the first of all, when we are collecting the data, is descriptive dimension, that, such the name said, is answering the question what has happened, what is happening in our day by day after the match, but only about the past. When we take more in detail and we go more in detail with this data, we can obtain a diagnosis about what's happening, why has it happened, sorry. But our real question are focusing predictive dimension, what will happen with the sponsorship, with my players, with my return of investment in an economical way in the sport entity, and more in a deeply way, what can I do in order to maximize the opportunity or the probability to achieve this objective? So this predictive and prescriptive dimension is what in each of the departments artificial intelligence are able to provide, and it's why I'm working here and I'm talking to you about this situation, because my company, working together with the university, are focusing this dimension and are focusing the middle of the sports industry, providing this kind of solutions. So is why we try to show and understand the real differences between one focus on another and one dimension on another. Why? How is it working artificial intelligence? Once we have this data, and is why we are working so close to each of the leaders, like all of you, and the future leaders and the current leaders, we have a strategy, we have to take a decision, and we have to design our strategy. And we have an artificial intelligence department and artificial intelligence skills and people that is able to, working with this design, provide specific models and specific methodologies that are going to help us in order to answer these questions. So this is our standard process from this. Once we have this data, design the problem, pre-process the data, learn an artificial intelligence model, validation, this is the most important in these techniques, validate the models and go to reality, because sometimes technical departments, scientific departments are so far from the reality. Sometimes they are working with mathematical model or information model, but they are not in the day by day in the fields with the players. So we have to try to put a balance in order to provide useful solutions, useful conclusions, interfaces, programs, everything that really help us in a simple way. And what I was saying before, that these validations are totally necessary in order to provide real solution. When I was talking before about Visa, that they avoid fraud, is because they are able to provide, with this previous information and this previous data, they are able to create models that are able to contextualize in a future context and identify anomaly situation with anomaly behavior that probably increase the percentage of fraud. So this is the way to avoid this kind of, to detect the fraud, not during it's happening, detecting previous it's happening. And it's the same with performance, this is the same with marketing, this is the same with communication. We can provide this information previous it happened with a grade of precision and grade of percentage of success really, really high. Of course, this is not a crystal ball that is going to provide the final results for everything. What this technology is able to provide is the minimum risk in each of the decisions. That always is going to be more precision and less risky than if only take a decision looking for the past. Okay, so this is a kind of result, kind of model, just in order to show in a global overview how is it working. We can create multiple networks where all the information is connected. So we can find in a complementary way with professionals what can provide this kind of technology, more capacity of memory. One scouter, one marketing expert they have their own expertise, but they do not include in their memory all what is happening in all the moments, in all the football matches, in all the tennis matches during the history. Data and artificial intelligence model could do it. Also, us as professionals, we can do it with our capacity and with our expertise, but the velocity of a computer is always going to be faster than a human capacity. And also objectivity. We are probably, based on our experience, based on if we are living in Italy or we are living in Spain, or my expertise is in one country or another, my ideas and my conclusion probably are going to have a grade of subjective option and opinions. Data and contextualization of the data in a global overview is going to provide this objective. So these three main differences is the main things that are going to provide and help us more resources in order to provide these answers, focusing predictions, focusing alerts, focusing system, focusing prescription based on the different question that we are going to define. And of course, we are able to touch each of these balls that you can see in the screen. We can see how, if I move, is why we can simulate future actions, because if I take one player and put in another context and put in another country, we can simulate and estimate behaviors that could provide more information more in detail. So artificial intelligence provides these transparent eye models. Why transparent? Because we can see inside, and such we can see inside is why we can obtain knowledge, because we can see if, for example, regarding risk of injury, we can see if the nutrition or any historical injury or something regarding with genetic, we can see inside and we can see how it's affecting to the different exercises. And if we can see how it's affect, we can take better decision, increase or decrease this exercise of this kind of food. So we can go more in detail. So in a simple way, artificial intelligence is able to quantify, qualify, analyze each of the situations, even if they don't have happened previously. Something that if we only are focusing big data, is not going to happen, because big data, again, is just focused with the data. So, and this is why artificial intelligence, again, is in the middle of the sports industry transformation. And it's important to understand how to do it and who can do it and in which areas could do it. So this is a standard sports industry structure regarding performance, regarding corporate. Regarding performance, we can find injury prevention, performance, match analysis, scouting, any other. And regarding corporate, we can find finance, communication, fan engagement, ticketing, merchandising, physical store, online stores, commerce. So through models, through applications, through solutions, artificial intelligence is able to provide this pure transformation in the sports industry. So regarding, for example, more in detail or regarding real examples, I'm going to share, for example, regarding performance, differential concepts regarding artificial intelligence solution. One of them is contextualization, as I said before, the ability to move each of the situations to our context, the context that is interesting for us. If one player is playing in Italy with one playing style totally different from Spain or from Germany, artificial intelligence is able to take all the events and all the players and all the coaches that are in this context and take it and position it in our context, the context that is interesting for us. And everything at the same time, as I showed you before, as I said before, with these networks, and everything in the same time. And provide these objectives. What we can find now in the industry is how many goals, how many assistants, how many crosses, how many events. But the real value for these events is not that provides how many or the ranking of goals or the ranking of assistants, is the quality of this kind of events. For example, one football player or one basketball player could they could be providing assistance when when his team or their teams are winning. So the value is less than, for example, another player that is providing an assistance when they increase the probability of score a goal when their teams are losing this match. So it's not the same the value of a goal that provides you 3 points of a goal that provides you one player that is scoring always when you are winning, or a streaker that provides a goal or a score when your team really needs. And this kind of concepts and this kind of capacities is provide different solutions that in order to answer the real question. For example, if one, for example, in a global way, talent identification, performance, future performance of the players in a future context, compare different players in the same context in a future, obtain this value, this objective value for the performance, and know regarding the historical of the players, how impact they provide to their teams. So how is, if there are companies in the industry that are investing in provide this tracking information, this eventing information through artificial intelligence system, are able to provide information regarding the players, regarding their teams, regarding their rival, and also regarding the context, the minutes, if they are playing in home or not, in a set pitch or not. So if you have all this information provided with artificial intelligence companies that are providing this information, and we are able to, through artificial intelligence and through these data lakes that we provide before and we showed before, we are able to obtain the DNA, this knowledge that I explained before, the real knowledge about the players that are in my team. And we are able to obtain this information. And with this information is the moment that we could move these players and obtain this information. So, for example, if I'm a team, for example, I'm Real Betis Balompié, and I want to compare who is the best midfielder in my team, what is happening now, if only we are considering big data, we take players from other teams and we analyze their performance. But this is in a descontextualized way. Maybe one player could be similar with my player on my team, but if he's performing as well in another team, doesn't mean that he's going to perform at this way in my team. So the real comparison is, if I'm Real Betis, I need to compare my players like Sergio Canales, move Modric from Real Madrid to Real Betis, also another team, in that case Atlético de Madrid, to my team, establish a prediction, in that case, for example, 10 months, because it's the time of period that a season happen. And in that way, in this context, we can compare variable per variable, action per action, frequency and value in the same context. So this is a kind of real example that artificial intelligence try to help us in order to reduce the uncertainty and take a better decision regarding, for example, scouting and player analysis. So remember these three capacities in sports industry: prediction, objective, and contextualization. Also, for example, regarding the value market, if we consider 1 year more, one new context, one new teammates, and also the performance prediction, we can be more precision with the final value for the players. Another case another case really, really interesting by our side in the sports industry is that, for example, if we are looking for a player, what is happening now, if, for example, again, with the same example like Modric, for example, or Canales, if I'm Real Betis and I'm looking for a player like that could be the substitute or a replacement for Canales, the idea is not go to the market and go to another clubs and identify which players are playing like Canales. The idea is, if I take the whole database and I position in my team, and in my team I establish a prediction of the performance of all these players in my team, is when I have to identify if these players have a real similarity with Canales based on my context. So the main difference is that if I'm doing it this way, each of the clubs receive a list of players totally adapted to the club. But for example, if we just look for the pass, all the clubs are going to receive the same list because we are just looking the pass information. So the same problem have different answer, and we have to identify through artificial intelligence which methodology is going to less the margin of error in my final decision. So why artificial intelligence? Why predictive versus descriptive? Just in a summarize. And this is something for all the departments. Descriptive analysis are not able to contextualize in a future context because they only learn about the current data. So if we don't have data about the future, this kind of focus are not going to provide. For example, Messi never plays in Real Madrid. The data is not including this information, so the models cannot answer if Messi plays in Real Madrid because it's not learning with that. So the margin of error is going to be always higher if we implement artificial intelligence systems. Okay, this is an example of how artificial intelligence department, one of the methodologies. For example, if we take the last 10 seasons of goals, for example, for one player, and if we work with the 9 first season and we learn and establish this validation model that we shared before, when the model that doesn't know what happened in the last season, when the methodology and when the scientific validation model provide the final result and this result is totally aligned with the reality, is when this model is validated. Okay, because the model is answering, but he doesn't know, and the model doesn't know this data. And this is the real differences between learn only with the data or learn without the data and provide the data or provide the information in this future. Regarding basketball is the same. They are able, artificial intelligence in our case, with these techniques, we are able to contextualize in a future context from any other player. At the end, mathematical models are able to be scaled to one department or another. So is why I want to share example from football, from basketball, or even from tennis, when we have this computer vision system that provides personalized analysis based on if it's professional players, academic players, based on the different methodologies here, for example, and take a look about the data that we collect the data, we analyze the data. And for example, this is an example about a Roland Garros final. This kind of, each of the coaches are able to identify weak points, strength points, and how to anticipate moments and decisions against specific rivals. Then the data is always the same. At the end, the professional as the expert is who is or all of you that are going to be leaders of the industry. You have to decide when to look and take the final decision with this information. Okay, so is why are totally complemented artificial intelligence with the human expertise. Regarding injury prevention, for example, again, we can find tons of data sources from all the departments: medical history, genetic, training sessions, physical tests, blood analysis. But the most important that, for example, we can find professional teams on professional industry that have all of them are working separate because they are not able to connect and establish all this multivariate interrelation with all this information. And we are losing knowledge, we are losing scientific information, because if each of the department works or just implement subjective and personal expertise with this information, of course we are taking a decision, but we are losing a margin of precision really, really important. And artificial intelligence, again, in this area, is able to integrate, homogeneize, unificate all this information. And when everything is in a correct way, a solid base, in a quality style, we're able to make different answers, different questions that data could be answered. Regarding, for example, marketing, digital assets, sponsorship, the real question is not how was the performance of the marketing campaigns in the past. The idea is, if I have several brands, several sponsorship in my team, one for Coca-Cola, Adidas, Audi, in which moment I have to pose with which fans, with which content, if text content, video content, GIF content, and simulate these scenarios in the future context. So artificial intelligence, so we have the same scenario, sponsorship, data, and fans, but the methodology is the key element in order to, again, invest in a property way in this situation. Also, for example, regarding, we have to know the behavior of our fans, our community, which content could be the most optimal for them. And again, artificial intelligence could, if I need to understand them, know them, identify different segmentation, understand what they say about my brand, by my club, my sport agency, what they say, or what are the feelings, artificial intelligence is able to identify this kind of conclusion and objective. So we can see like performance, health and injury prevention, scouting processes, marketing area. We can see how, in order to summarize, how important is the value of the data in our sports organizations. Also understand which is artificial intelligence, which abilities, which capacities, and which solution is able to provide such leaders in the organizations. And such, each of us, as professionals, it's very important to establish a strategy and establish the correct questions and identify which answer are going to provide the real, which answer are going to answer and correct answer to the correct questions. So this is the key points that I want to transmit. And the kind of information that university is providing is in order to be able to lead this, through innovative and disruptive solution, and able to lead the innovative transformation and digital transformation in the sports industry. And know from the beginning the capacities and how to implement it, and how to, with this information, how to maximize my my decision final process. And of course, we can find tons of barriers. We can find, like the pandemic now, some brands now cancel their collaborations. But one of them, and I think it's not just in the sports industry, I'm going to just the last minute, we can find, like, one of the problems in the society is that we can think that it's not possible to predict, or this solution that you are providing me, this is something that we are doing before, we can do it by my own, I can do it now. This kind of resistances is the kind of barriers that we can find now. And it's very important to understand, all of you, and be familiar with that, because sometimes we think that if you don't know everything, you don't know anything. And some things are unpredictable. For example, we don't know, for example, if a player is going to close his relationship with his wife, or he's going to have a economic problem with the minister. But this situation doesn't mean that that we cannot provide more precision information. So the idea is, for example, if I ask you who is behind this picture, probably you will not able to answer the question. And for example, if I'm obtaining some data and some information, it's not the 100% of the information, but I have some data. And if I ask again, who is behind the picture, probably you could have any idea, but probably you are not totally sure. But with correct methodology, the correct question, the correct answer, if we establish this data value and this information in a correct way, even if we don't have the 100% of the information, probably if we have to take a decision about who is behind this picture, probably we are going to reduce to increase the probability of be sure. So if I ask again who is behind the picture, probably all of you now know who is behind the picture. So this is just a real example of what we can find our day by day, but the importance of the data, the importance of these technologies for artificial intelligence and a correct solutions in order to help us to reduce the uncertainty. And just, this is my team, the founder and two professors of artificial intelligence in a university with a whole career in universities. They are working with the government and they are technological partners. And this is the leaders of my technological team. They lead the projects. All of them are PhD in artificial intelligence and MCC in artificial intelligence. And what we do is try to provide these solutions to real cases to the sports industry. And this is one of our why we are working with the university. Are leaders one. We understand that we are pioneers in artificial intelligence, and this is our company. So now, Andrea and Jenna, all of you, my credentials, and sorry about the extension, but I try to provide a global overview and the process from the beginning to real cases.
Yeah, thank you, Mario. Thank you for your presentation. And Andrea, I want to give you a chance if you had anything to share before we jump into the Q&A.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Jenna. Thank you very much, Mario, for this really interesting information that you gave us and all of the audience. On my part, let me introduce myself. My name is Andrea Perissinotto from the Admission Department of Real Madrid Graduate School. Thank you, all of you, to share this afternoon with us, and thank you for your interest about the Real Madrid Graduate School. Of course, here with Mario, who is the director of the Master in Sports Technologies and Digital Transformation of the Real Madrid Graduate School. This is one of the opportunities that we provide to our students because we have more than 20 master's degrees. So the aim of the information I will provide to you is explain quickly how the admission process works. So first of all, I'd like to inform you that, of course, my colleagues and I, we are at your entire disposal to give you all the information about this master and about all the academic offer of the Real Madrid Graduate School. And for this, you can send me an email. My direct email, I leave it in the chat. I'm gonna write it down again in a few seconds. And of course, if you rather prefer me to write you to send you directly the information for the program that you rather prefer, I will do it with pleasure. So write down in the chat your email, your name, and the master for which you want to receive the information. So the admission process starts exactly when, after this first information that we will send you, you will reply to us with your CV, your resume, and a photo of your ID. In case of Italian students, it's enough with Carta d'Identità, your ID, and for the international students, we require the passport. So we will send your CV to the director of the program. In this case, for example, we'll get in touch to Mario in order to have a review about your academic experience. And for us, it's very important also to know your motivation, why you'd like to study at the Real Madrid Graduate School. And so from the admission department, we will arrange a phone call interview or Teams interview with you and the director of the program, also to solve any kind of specific question you may have. After this phone call interview, we will check all the information about your profile, your motivation, and after the feedback from the director, we will send all this information to the Real Madrid Football Club. After that, if we have both okays, if you will be admitted to our master, we'll notify to you in order you to confirm your place and study with us. So we will be very excited to stay here with you and hope to see you very soon in Madrid. So thank you so much again. And if you want, we can go ahead with the questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrea. And so for everyone who's still with us, if you have any questions you'd like to ask that we can answer live during the session, just write those in the Q&A box at the bottom and we'll do our best to answer those. And so we already had some questions submitted. There was a question about how long do the programs last, Andrea?
Of course, thank you so much for this question. All our master's degree lasts 9 months. So we normally start at the end of October. And in this case, for the Master in Sports Technologies and Digital Transformation, we will start about 22 or 25 of October at the end of the month. And the master will take 9 months. So we'll finish around the end of June.
Great, thank you so much. And there was a question I want to combine with another question. Someone asked what kind of degrees are recommended before coming to Real Madrid Graduate School. I'd combine that also with another question of what advice do you have for someone who is looking to apply?
Yes, of course. I will say that in order to, turn your passion in your profession, I will say that before to start a master degree, you will have to do something that you really like. Because as I told you before, Jenna, and as I can say again to all our students here, we have really a lot of opportunities. The Real Madrid Graduate School has masters from the health area to the business one. And so we really have a huge amount of opportunities. And if you want to receive all the lists of our master degree, please send me an email. I will very, very happy to reply to you and inform you about to give you a global vision. So my advice maybe could be to try to do our best to follow your passion and to do what you really like, because of course, we will have an opportunity for you to go ahead with your studies.
Great, thank you, Andrea. And we just had another question come in with a few parts. Who is the Master in Technology in Sport for? What title do you need to participate? I think maybe that means what degree do you need to apply? And is it online or in-person classes?
Okay, about the part of the master, this is a face-to-face master. And so we think that it's important to improve and to give you all the experiences in Madrid, because, it's quite easy to say the Santiago Bernabeu Stadium is in Madrid, the Real Madrid city is there, and we can offer to our students 2 great campuses in Madrid. And so for this reason, all the networking, all the experiences, all the Real Madrid experience is there. However, we know that we are in a very global environment. And so, of course, as university, we can provide also a flexible system. We actually have an academic model called HighFlex, with which all the students, in any moment, they can decide if they can enjoy the classes live throughout our virtual campus or to go to the campus physically. Okay, so we have these 2 options. And about maybe, the specific question about the career, I would rather ask to Mario in order for us to explain maybe why it's a good option to study this master, and maybe to recommend to our students which kind of career they should have to do this program. I don't know, Mario, if you want to solve this question. I don't know if you can.
Maybe he can't hear us.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, the idea is sorry. We are in such holothip and university. We are in the middle of this digital transformation, and we are going to provide Real Madrid expertise, professional leaders in the industry, professional companies in the industry, and how could add value in the different areas. So also, the skills and profiles could be analyticals, could be innovations profiles, also more corporate or more performance. So at the end, MCC Technology and Innovation is going to provide a global overview in order to lead digital innovation projects in our day-by-day companies, and also with a specification in a technical ways in artificial intelligence. So I don't know if it's correct, this kind of answer. So several profiles with this kind of professor and information.
Great, thank you. And I believe it was Simone who asked that question. Simone, if you have follow-up questions, you can reach out to Andrea or Doc City, and we can point you in the right direction. And I realize we're over time, but Andrea and Mario, if you have time for one more question, I can add one more.
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course. And two more.
Yeah, so do you offer scholarships, and how can someone apply?
At the moment, on all our masters, we have a discount. Actually, it's at 30% off on the place reservation fee. Okay, and moreover, we have a scholarship called Plan Compite for athletes of 5th level, and you can find out all the bases in our webpage. However, of course, if you want more information, as I told you before, please feel free to ask me any kind of information about our master's degree and about the Real Madrid Graduate School. I've wrote down again my email, so feel free to send me an email. I will be very happy to reply to you with all the information and give you all the support.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Andrea and Mario, for being with us and giving us a great talk today. And I want to thank everyone for attending and learning more about Real Madrid Graduate School. So at this point, Mario and Andrea, if you have any parting words, the floor is yours. Otherwise, thank you and good evening.
Yeah, totally available for any question, more in particular, more in detail. Andrea and me will work closely to offer more in detail everything. So if I were a student again, I don't. This is the kind of information that I would like to receive, because take the opportunity to update with the latest trends. It's quite important in order to move in a professional steps. Sorry.
Of course. Thank you so much, Jenna. Thank you so much, Mario. But thank you so much, all of you. We will be very happy to share this evening with you, and hope to see you soon in Madrid. And as our hashtag say, train your dreams. Really think about it and see you soon. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Good night.